Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Grammer, here with me, as usual, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And well, man, there is a lot of stuff to get to in this episode, a lot of news. So that's primarily what we're going to be getting into. A lot of moves at PlayStation between new CEOs, a possible surprise game, and some other stuff going on. Big PlayStation 5 sales going on. Square-Enix announcing their multi-platform strategy that maybe they should have had from the beginning. And a lot more. Xbox 360 is starting to get ready for that store closure. And we'll get into all those things and more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
And all right. Also, should mention that we finally got the name for the Assassin's Creed Japan game that we'll talk about too. So, plus the trailer, all that stuff. So, all right, let's get into the housekeeping really quick so I can get this out of the way. We do appreciate you whether you watch live, which you can do on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, W2 Network, on my Twitter, W2 Sean as well. You can watch us. This is usually the time we record around 12:30, 1 o'clock on Fridays. Sometimes we do have to move it to other days. But, the good thing is YouTube is on demand and you can watch it whenever you want. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get whenever we do a show, and not only what we do, but also the other shows that are on the channel as well. So if you like new anime stuff, you keep up with the new anime that comes out every, core and all that stuff, or just like the new movies, all that. Otaku Cafe handles that. They do a great job. Go watch them or listen to them. All the shows are also on podcasts. You can just go subscribe wherever you want there if you prefer to listen podcast wise. And then, of course, you got Relish Broadcasting. They do all the awesome stuff with the movies and entertainment stuff. So they've done their Knuckles review. If you want to go watch their thoughts on it, a lot of good stuff from them. They go really in depth as well. So if you're one of those people that really likes to know about why a movie didn't do well, why they didn't like this, they don't just skim over it. They really definitely go in depth on that stuff. So that being said, I think let's get into it here. I guess we'll just start with PlayStation since they're the big dogs in this. They didn't just go with one CEO; they went with two. So there's two co-CEOs for PlayStation here. Herman Hulst, of course, who we all know he's always being talked about in some way or another. Of course, a former Gorilla Man. He might lead into why there's so much stuff going on with Horizon, including something that we'll get into in a little bit. And then also Hideaki Nishino is also going to be the other co-CEO. He was formerly the SVP of SIE's Platform Experience Group, and he's now going to be the CEO of SIE's Platform Business Group. So, yeah. I mean, the Herman Hulst one, I think, doesn't surprise anybody. That kind of felt like it was the natural thing to happen, but interesting that they went with two instead of just choosing one guy.
I have to imagine one maybe, well, the one Herman's probably the more Western, focused one, and the other guy will be the Asian, or the Japanese side.
Yeah, I mean, because there was a lot of complaints about, and there still is, about Sony going very American, very non-Japanese.
Yeah,
Other than the figureheads, obviously, at Sony, especially Hiroki Totoki is still overseeing both of them, so they still answer to him.
right.
Um, but still, it's more of like, okay, we definitely want to make sure to let everyone know that this is not we have not forgotten the past
Yeah,
there, and it's just it's interesting they decided this now. I mean, that it was kind of coming. We knew Jim Ryan had already left the post,
Right.
and good that Holst is, I guess, is continuing to do his thing. I mean, they've done well so far. So they did kind of make statements, just kind of the typical stuff that I don't really see anything that we need to other than them saying that they're going to try to work closely together to kind of just keep building this
Yeah.
stuff that you're used to from PlayStation. I mean, so it's not just going to be, okay, Holst makes all the decisions and then Hiroki Totoki just kind of gets involved when, we got to talk about money, all that stuff. It's both of them kind of working together. And that might lead to better things for PlayStation as far as like, two heads better than one situation. They also did announce that there's now been 59.3, I don't know how you do 0.3, but 59.3 million units lifetime with the PlayStation 5. And that's a lot. It's pretty much on par with what the PS4 was doing. I think PS4 was like at 60 million at this point. So far for Sony, it's going pretty well. There's a lot of concern about them not getting to where the PS4 was at this point. So that's good. Yeah.
I still think a lot of that. I mean, not a lot anymore, I guess, but I still don't see like PS5 that well in stores or like that well stocked. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's just not like the omnipresence like the PS4 was, or like every store had one or anything like that.
Definitely not, but it's like you're saying. I mean, it does seem it sells,
yeah,
really well enough to where they don't have the issue of keeping it in stock like before, but
right.
It's not the thing that you just see like you go to any store and there's 5 of them sitting there.
Right. Yeah.
So you do kind of have to like look around, probably call before you go, kind of thing, just to make sure they have one, because
Right.
people are still going out there and buying them, and that's good as well for Sony. Something that we'll talk about with Microsoft in a second, or that we already know.
Yeah. What's the Xbox unit sales?
Yeah, they don't even talk about them anymore for a reason, right? So like I said, it's all good stuff. Their sales increased like 17%. I think Helldivers 2 is now, it feels like we talk about this a lot. And so, a lot of people kind of wonder, like, how really do they calculate this fastest selling game that PlayStation has or whatnot every time? Because it's like, oh, it feels like every game, every big game that Sony has comes out, and it's now the fastest selling game or whatever.
Right.
It's now it's Helldivers 2. So it beat the record formerly held by God of War Ragnarok, and Helldivers 2 has been nothing short of incredible what it's done this entire year, of just how much it's just kind of kept itself going. But again, PC helps as well. It stays in the conversation. People are playing it. People are talking about it. It's easy to go with a friend and be like, hey, get this game. It's $40. We can all play, definitely props to them, because I don't think anybody had Helldivers 2 as the highest selling game of fastest selling game for PlayStation, and probably been the most highest selling game of this year that's new. So
yeah,
that's a testament to the team and how they've gotten this to be kind of just big so far.
Even when they get forced to have dumb decisions foisted upon it, it's still a big game.
Imagine how much, if they didn't reverse the course on that, how much the negativity would be attached to. I mean, there's still a lot of countries that still can't play that game right now after they did that.
Yeah.
Isn't great. Let's be fair on that. But, at least they learned from it and they're doing their thing. But all good things for Sony right now as far as that goes. And when you pair it with the new CEO announcements and everything, it seems like they don't have much to worry about other than the fact I think they missed their, which we talked about before, that their PS5 targets were already kind of ridiculous. They were never going to hit the 25 million mark. They lowered it and they got really close to the 21 million. So that's all you kind of want to see there for them. The big announcement that I kind of saw this morning before we started recording and doing everything, Insider Gaming is reporting that Lego and PlayStation are working together on a Lego Horizon game. This is found based on a trademark from Kuracasis is the one that tweeted it out, but it's being thought that they're going to announce this as one of the big games in the PlayStation Showcase. That Horizon is working on a Lego game, or with Lego on a Lego game, or
Yeah.
They're doing a lot with Horizon, so this doesn't really surprise me, but it is kind of interesting, I guess.
I think it sounds kind of bad, personally.
Yeah.
I guess I would mention, like, I would rather have like a Lego Uncharted game, even though that would be like a palette swap of like the Lego Indiana Jones game from like a decade and a half ago.
Right.
But like, I don't think the combat of Lego, or the combat of Horizon translates well to Lego. Lego, like the games themselves are always kind of the same.
Right. Yeah.
And it won't have voice acting, or if it does, it'll just be like the lines taken from the game. Like, they're not gonna have like new voice acting for the game. And how do you even like the thing about Horizon is it's a big open world, like, for you to explore,
Right.
and the Lego games aren't that at all. I mean, they have like they have a big open world, but then it's like, okay, you load into a mission, and now you got to do the story, and it's like the Horizon is not structured that way. So we'll see. I mean, I imagine I thought it'd just be like Lego sets or something, be like.
I mean, at least they don't have to worry about having great dialogue or whatever. This is a game,
right?
They try to tell a story in this game, but I mean, it's not the best.
No,
so
they'll just copy and paste like the first game story or the first two. He'd be like, "Here it is in Lego
probably.
form." It's like, great.
Yeah, it would be interesting how they do the robot animals. And
Well, those are all
stuff,
easy. I mean, you just Lego them all up, or be like, here are parts of whatever.
How are they going to make it? Are they going to make it, I guess, easier to hunt them, or they got to make it for your kids to play? So
I don't think they'll be hunting at all, honestly.
You don't think so?
Or if it is, it'll be extremely, like, it's not going to be like, oh, hide in the bushes and set up traps and crap like that. No, it'll just be like, well, you got a bow and arrow, so just keep shooting the thing for a while and eventually go down.
Right.
It'll have 7 hearts, and your bow and arrow can do half a heart damage each time it hits. So,
well, wasn't Horizon 2 a bit more actiony than the first one?
Yeah, but I think that was actually kind of a detriment. So, like, I liked all the trap stuff in the first one, and the second one didn't have nearly as it wasn't like this fleshed out at all. So,
yeah, they definitely tried to. Then they limit you on how many traps you could have.
Yeah, you can only put out like 3 at a time, and it's like, why? This seems like an artificial limit now, because it's like, well, I like having like a big open world, or a big open field. I can lay down like 14 traps. I can guide whatever stupid robotic dinosaur or whatever, and I just keep shooting it in the eye, and it eventually charges at me and then gets hit by like 6 traps at once.
Yeah. It's like, all right, and then I'm sure they're gonna have the yellow handholds that everybody hates.
Yeah. So. Oh, that's a big part of Stellar Blade. I like all the paint.
Well, everybody hates it, but then when they can't find something, they're sitting there complaining about how they can't find something.
Well, how exactly are you supposed to? I mean, because it's just like a old Warner Brothers cartoon, or like old Looney Tunes or something. Like, the interactable thing is always like a slightly different color than just the background.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes sense because the whole point is to continue to get through the game. You want to be stuck like the Mithril Mines with Barrett at the where it all looks green and I can't tell where the hell I'm supposed to handle anything. So yeah, I mean, look, these Lego games are fun. They sell well. That's the important part. That's what Sony's looking at. They sell well, and that's at the end of the day, that's what they want to do. I mean, this goes along with all the other Horizon stuff they're doing, the multiplayer Horizon game, the Netflix Horizon show, which they haven't really said that much about, but I'm sure we'll get. Maybe that'll be something for the PlayStation Showcase too, though. To do like the trailer there and all that stuff. So we'll see. But again, this is off of a trademark filing. It could just be that they just want to announce everything at that showcase to have like a big surprise game that nobody kind of really knows about. Of course, those always get a lot of attention, so why not? And just like us in the water is wet news, because this has to do with PlayStation. Microsoft actually has a strategy and name for this putting games on other consoles thing. It's called Latitude, and they want no red lines, which means basically anything is up for grabs as far as games going to Switch 2 and PlayStation 5, and then further beyond that, I guess. This is all coming based off of, like we talked about last week with the whole, like, we spent an hour talking about where Xbox is at. This is all Satya Nadella and Amy Hood. It didn't take long. This is why Phil Spencer always has to be very, I got to talk out of both sides of my mouth, and then I talk too much, and then somebody comes and basically neuters a lot of what he says, and then they do whatever they want, and this is them doing whatever they want. They like the fact that they're making all these sales. They're not making it with Xbox and Xbox Series and S and X and all that stuff, so we got to put our games somewhere else. Lots of games have been mentioned here with the possibility, but it feels like everybody was, we talked about like, are they going to do the heavy hitters, right? And it feels like the heavy hitters are probably coming. Starfield. How long do they wait on Indiana Jones? How long do they wait on the next? Does the next Doom game just, go like 3 months later? Like, how long are they making? I don't think they're going to do the whole waiting a year thing with everything. I think there's going to be times where you're getting stuff even faster. And then there goes that question again of what's the point of holding an Xbox if this is really going to become a reality where it's happening consistently.
Right.
Even if you're going to have new hardware, if all of those games are going to come to PlayStation, which means, hey, PlayStation owners just get more games, right? Then why would I need to go out and invest in an Xbox unless I just ever owned an Xbox? And
I guess I imagine there are some franchises that will never cross over. Like I guess I would never see like Forza coming to PS5. And maybe Halo. That's about it. Like everything else, as long as it like was like the third party or the quote unquote third party stuff that Microsoft has bought recently. Like I imagine a lot of that stuff is still up for grabs.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Like you said, anything Bethesda, anything Activision. Well, most of Activision stuff's already going to be there. Blizzard's already kind of in that mold anyway. But yeah, anything Bethesda that used to be exclusive is probably pretty much going to be coming. Anything probably not one of the big three is probably coming. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Halo Master Chief Collection, the Gears old games, all of that stuff eventually shows up, because it's not guaranteed, obviously. It's not guaranteed. But you bring a franchise that's never been on PlayStation, you're going to see all these people that said, oh, these games suck, whatever. No, I just didn't want to have to buy an Xbox. And they'll buy it on their PlayStation. And then guess what? Xbox makes money. The thing is that eventually, the more and more sales you don't get for the consoles, the more and more this is going to impact Game Pass, because most of Game Pass is through the consoles. You're trying to make Game Pass a selling point, right? Of but if you buy it over here, you only got to pay $17 a month, and you don't have to buy all these games or whatever. But eventually, if nobody buys your console, it's not going to matter whether they pay the $15 or the whatever. I don't know if they're eventually going to really go into hardcore mode about building that thing that just goes straight into your TV, and that will solve their issue about the console. But I still feel like that's really a ways away because we don't have the internet for that in most places still.
I think that's a problem, and I also think a lot of the TV integration, even with even apps on TV, kind of suck. So
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they definitely need to make more deals with TV providers and put it in there directly too. I mean, they only have like Samsung and I think like LG or something. It doesn't feel like you're really. I don't know if they tried and then some people just don't want to do it or they're asking too much for it or, something like Sony probably doesn't want Game Pass on their TVs natively either.
Right.
So, that's something that will be an issue at some point, but we'll get there when we cross it. But good for PlayStation folks.
Yeah.
That get more games because of the struggles that Microsoft is going through. And speaking of more games, if you subscribe to PlayStation Plus and Premium Extra and Premium, they've already announced the games that are coming that are available as of in a few days. So Red Dead Redemption 2, that's always great, unless you just don't like Red Dead Redemption like me. But that's great for people out there.
Right.
Both the Cat Quest games with Cat Quest 3 coming in August. We got the Crime Boss Rockay City, which wouldn't be something I would go out and buy, but if it's out there on PS Plus, you got some big time actors in this thing. Worth checking out.
Thoroughly mediocre game.
Yeah, very thoroughly mediocre game, but it's great for PS Plus. And then they're doing some stuff with The Sims, Watch Dogs, the original. They're doing like a PlayStation Plus re-release there with that. And then some older games for the premium with 2 Extreme, G Police, and Worms Pinball. So,
yeah, G Police is pretty fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's cool. It's not like the most heavy hitting stuff, but when you got Red Dead Redemption 2, that kind of takes the cake for a lot of people there, especially if you haven't played it yet. Definitely go check it out. On the Xbox side of things, they also announced their Game Pass stuff for the end of May. The original Brothers Tale of Two Sons, I think it's not the remaster.
The good one
is coming. Or it's actually there now. So it's Chance of Sonar, which was an indie game that a lot of people loved from last year. So that's cool. I might actually get to go try it out now. EA Sports NHL 24, obviously with the Stanley Cup playoffs, like almost at the conference final stage. I guess why not?
Yeah.
A little bit late, but this is kind of when they release those, like right when the season ends, because at that point the sales are kind of not as great. Immortals Addendum, we talked about that game, how much they've maligned the fact that it didn't do as well as they thought it should. Well, now you can go play it and think for yourself what you think. Of course, the big release for Xbox and this month is Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. That comes out on the 21st. And then you get stuff like Moving Out 2, which is also on PS Plus. Humanity, which was on PS Plus, and I thought it was only a PlayStation game, really, and PC. So now it's coming to Xbox as well. Lords of the Fallen, I think that's the new one.
I have to imagine it is.
That's coming on May 30th as well. So, and then they got a couple of things coming right before they do that showcase in June. So
that Humanity game, it had probably like just a year exclusive date, or I do remember it getting announced for Xbox like a month ago or something. So
yeah, it was a good game. I liked it. If you like puzzle games or stuff like Lemmings, definitely go check it out if you only have an Xbox and get to play it yet. And definitely go play Chicory Colorful Tale before it leaves. on May 31st. You haven't played that yet. It is a freaking amazing game that will make you shed some tears for sure at that point. So I mentioned that the Xbox 360 store, it's been a while. They announced that July 29th was going to be the last day. It kind of sucks when these things happen. We saw it with the Wii U, 3DS, but at some point they will do it with the PS3 and Vita. Somebody just found some income, I guess they can keep putting into that store where they're not going to close it down for a while, I guess. But at least Microsoft officially announced that they're doing digital sales for this. So right now there's 66 titles that have had their prices reduced. 18 of which are on that list that was published a while ago by BGC about there's 220 games that are going to be lost forever once this closes.
Yeah.
So definitely go check those out. There is a list officially on Xbox's website. It didn't look like anything earth-shattering, but honestly, there's so much stuff that's like it was cross-platform or is already on that you can buy on the Xbox store now. So a lot of that stuff is probably only 360 exclusive, or is not backwards compatible. So you could buy it through the website too if you don't have a 360 just sitting there that you can hook up. So
it's funny, the some of the digital stuff that was like put on discs is now going up in price.
Yeah, makes sense, right? That seems like everything.
But it's all stuff like, there's like a 3-pack of Trials HD, Limbo, and Explosion Man. And I think most of those games are on PC.
Well, you can buy that on the regular stores now separately, right? It's the whole thing of having all three of them together on a disc, I guess, that makes it sort of valuable for the collectors at that point.
But it's like, well, also it's like if you want to play Limbo, it ain't hard.
It's usually on sale for like $1 or $2 on like everything at some point. So definitely go do that. Coinciding with what we talked about last week about closing studios, this is probably one of those things that I'm sure people are pointing at going, so you closed other studios so that somebody else under your umbrella can open another one. Activision's creating a new studio headquartered in Warsaw, Poland. Of course, people know Poland for CD Projekt Red. And there are some CD Projekt Red folks that are coming in, people that know storylines, people from Naughty Dog and Uncharted and Bungie, Ubisoft, stuff like that. So they are supposed to creating a new narrative-based and genre-defining AAA franchise. Okay. That seems lofty.
That says nothing.
That it says nothing, but it also says they were spending a lot of money. But somehow they need to close studios. So let's keep contradicting ourselves every time we do something like this. So the team is actually called Elsewhere. They are looking for people right now. So if you're wanting to hire and you live in Poland, I don't know how many.
If you want to get fired within 7 months because after your game came out, it didn't sell well, there you go.
That's the problem, right? If you're a studio, if you're anybody, obviously there's people looking for work that just need work and it doesn't matter. And that's understandable as well. It's that thing we talked about. Like, how can you trust any studio that is under the Xbox umbrella right now? That it's going to even exist for a year because, well, this game is going to take, if it's AAA, it's going to take like 5 or 6 years to make. So I guess you got 5 years of work there, but still, it's like a terrible look. I get that Activision kind of is supposed to be running by itself. I don't know how much of Microsoft's capita is going into that or whatever, but still, they're all under your umbrella right now. It doesn't look great. Like maybe wait a while, but this kind of happens.
Yeah.
at times. Just because we're already talking about creating new studios, Firaxis folks, Firaxis veterans, are also creating a new studio. It's called Midsummer Studios. It's based out of Maryland. They're going to try to revitalize the life sim genre. Of course, these are people that are very familiar with XCOM, Marvel's Midnight Suns, stuff like that. Things you
Right.
like.
Yep.
So,
Well, Civ,
you know,
Civ and XCOM. That's pretty much about it.
anything you're sort of interested in, like knowing whatever they're doing, or is there something if they're gonna revitalize the live sim genre, is there something that just stands out to you? Like, okay, this is there really a way to reinvent the wheel for that? I mean, it feels like that's always been the same kind of.
You know, there always is, because like you look at that, like The Sims, that kind of started it, or that was like the big proponent of it. But like that new game's coming out from Xbox, or that, I remember.
Right, the Oros story
Yeah,
untold, or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, there's always different ways of looking at it, or some innovation. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is probably going to be another one that's going to be a
Yeah,
while before we
I
see it
personally
again.
just don't like. I don't know if have you played much of The Sims or no?
The Sims, yeah,
See, I just don't like
younger.
it. I played it. I tried to play it, and I like the idea of it, but like I don't like how independent The Sims are. Or even if you tell them to do something, like occasionally
Right.
they just won't do it. It's like, well, fuck you. I want you. No, like I want you to do that. Like
Well, it's trying to simulate like an actual person. Like not you don't always feel like doing something all the time. So
right.
especially depending on the age that we're looking at. So
Yeah.
there's that as well. But we'll see. That's something that coming down farther line. But it's good to know that there are new studios coming. Just again, the Activision one kind of stings when you just had other studios under the Xbox umbrella have to close.
Yeah.
But we talked about one new game possibly in the works. Valve, Gabe Newell said that they have games in the works. Just they weren't announcing anything. There's one game that looks like it's going to be a hero shooter, codenamed Deadlocked. This is according to a Tyler McVicker, who's usually pretty good about reporting details on stuff that has to do with Valve. A lot of comparisons to Overwatch with 6v6 gameplay. Interesting, they already have Team Fortress 2, so like, why would you want to make another thing like that? But
Because Team Fortress 2 is really old and no one
I
talks
guess
about it anymore.
that's
And
true.
unfortunately,
But they're saying that there's fast travel based on floating rails, similar to Bioshock Infinite, and then there's being a lot of comparisons to like 6 games: Team Fortress 2 itself, Overwatch, Valorant, Smite, Orcs Must Die, and Dota 2 of all things. That's a lot of games to compare something to.
I imagine it's because like there are actual
Yeah.
enemy, like human controlled enemies in the, or the other team, but there's also like creep, or like AI controlled
Mm-hmm.
enemies you can shoot to like experience or whatever. I mean, if they want to do it, fine, but I think that genre is also kind of filled, or it's very hard for a new game to break into it. We'll see.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly like thrill me though, because it's like, well, shouldn't you just make another Team Fortress like 3, or like
They can't count to 3, Mark. We've already
yeah.
established, this is a long established thing with Valve. They don't like to count to
Well,
3.
do what Kingdom Hearts does and go like, instead of Team Fortress 3 to be Team Fortress 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that. Or 358 by 2,
Yeah.
just do the whole gambit of different stuff. But we'll leave the Square-Enix stuff for a second. Let me let's talk about Ubisoft. It's been a little bit. So we talked about Ubisoft last. Let's get to the bad news first. They canceled, well, bad news for the people working on the game. Maybe not bad news for the people that maybe, I don't know how many people were looking forward to playing this game, but Ubisoft canceled The Division Heartland. Something that felt like they were just gung-ho about not too many years ago. They announced it in 2021. It was part of a suite of the Division stuff that they announced. They're still working on the mobile game, which is supposed to come out this year at some point, and Division 3. But the free-to-play version of it here, Heartland, has been canceled. Of course, it was supposed to be like a survival kind of action game too.
Right.
Were you looking forward to this at all, or?
No. I mean, I guess the world is kind of interesting, but I like the Division way more because of the story and them just them having like a big hard on for like the Black Site or whatever the fuck it was called, the Dark Zone or
the Dark Zone,
and all like I like the story. I don't care about just fighting against other players or like that. Like does nothing for me. So.
Right, but the fighting against other players is what keeps people playing, right? Because you eventually finish the story and then you don't have much to do. So I kind of get why their emphasis on that.
Yeah.
Plus, you got the 6 Siege stuff that's how they keep that going too. So it makes sense. The Division.
I think the Siege stuff works better because it's just cops versus robbers.
Right.
Rather than whatever the fuck is in the Division versus the Division agents, or the terrorists versus the Division agents, or whatever. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense why they keep that going, for sure. But the big announcement this week was Assassin's Creed Shadows. We already knew Assassin's Creed Red existed, right? But we didn't. It didn't have a name. It didn't have a release date. I think they had said at one point they were trying to make sure it had releases this year, and then that's kind of all we got. So they revealed the trailer for it. It's going to have 2 protagonists.
Yeah. It's funny. Everyone's all outraged about the Black Samurai guy.
Why?
Or not everyone. The incel racist community is outraged by him because it's like, there weren't Black Samurais back then.
Please with that already.
They're accusing Ubisoft of hyping this guy up or whatever, and it's like, yo, dog, like, I don't know if you noticed, there weren't any. Most of the protagonists in Assassin's Creed games are fictional. Like, who cares?
Yeah, man. The whole it's based on real life stuff, but most of it is still fictional.
Like, there wasn't Ezio, but he wasn't like the Assassin's Creed version. But it's like there wasn't like an Edward Kenway or a Eivor from Valhalla or anything. Like, who cares?
Yeah, it's just like I don't get it. I mean, again, people that have a problem with this are just showing themselves, like we've talked about a bunch of times.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can, yeah.
I mean, this is probably a game I'll get. Or this might be the game I call in from you to get for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little too much too little too late.
Right.
Like people wanted this thing a decade ago, before there were other games like Tsushima or.
Interesting. You announced this when Ghost of Tsushima comes out on PC, like the same day almost.
Or the one that just came out like a month or 2 ago, or whatever, or Rise of the Ronin, or it's just like, what do you guys do, or what, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's interesting they're doing the 2 protagonist thing again. Like they, it allows you to have the Asian character.
It almost looked like. Did you ever play the original 10-2 Stealth Assassin?
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
It almost looked like that, where like the guy is like the stronger, beefier character,
right?
And the girl is like the more agile, stealthy one.
Yeah, the more like ninja type.
Yeah.
Character. Yeah, I mean that's good. Like that's the interesting part too. You didn't just get to like was it Odyssey? They're kind of similar characters, right? You just have the male and the female, or
no, that was an Odyssey. That was not Syndicate. That was the London one. That
that's Syndicate, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's Syndicate. Yeah, yep. That's the London one. Yeah, but the brother and sister are interchangeable. Like they have
Right.
no differentiation between the two. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
no, people still. I mean, that's the thing is like, I will give them credit in that. Okay, Shogun is huge right now. You know, like
right,
this is still kind of people like this stuff. So yes, it's late in that people did want it a while ago,
right,
but I think you could still. It's still in the pop culture right now, so I think you can still get a lot of people that are like, oh damn, Assassin's Creed's finally doing it. They're doing the Edo period Japan, all that stuff. Like, yes, I wanted this. All right, cool. Now I can play it. Yeah, I can go pick up Ghost of Tsushima right now or whatever. And you can get it on sale even for PlayStation people that haven't played it yet. But still, I'm glad to see they are doing it. Just maybe it's not going to get you the as hyped as you would have, many years ago or whatever. But the thing is, like, would they have been able to do it justice back then with the graphics? I mean, it does look kind of nice with this stuff.
right.
Yeah, I mean, this looks great. We'll see when it comes out. I'm sure there will be the typical Assassin's Creed stuff that happens with all these games. So I don't think that
Yeah.
much of that is gonna change there. They're not gonna reinvent the wheel.
Well, I guess
Much with it.
the one change is it no longer does that camera panorama, you know, panorama of when you climb on top of the tower and like sync up with it. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh my god, the franchise is forever altered.
Yeah, please. Thank you for doing that. Of course, this is also like releasing on everything except Steam because they have
Right,
the Epic
and
Game
probably the
Store.
Switch. Right.
Yeah, well, definitely not the Switch. Maybe Switch
Yeah.
too. Who knows?
I did see also like, oh, this is the first Assassin's Creed game. Not gonna mean the PS4 and the Xbox One. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like,
Well, I better not be. I mean, at this point, like, damn, we're still making stuff for the PS4 that's like that. It's just, come on, man.
yeah,
Like, let it go. Yeah, I mean, they are supposedly like refining like how you infiltrate. There's going to be different shadows and lighting and all that stuff. The stuff you expect. Of course, Ubisoft. There's so many freaking different editions of the game too. There's a season pass. Of course, if you get one of these, you get the 3 days early access to that they do. I'm sure that you can also just, do the getting their subscription. So we'll see how long that lasts with that subscription, by the way, too. Because every time you release one of these, I'm just sitting there going, okay, I'm just going to pay $17. I'm going to beat this game, or I'm going to get as far as I want in this game. And then I'm just going to, go back to it as far as that's concerned. But we finally got the announcement. Surprised that they didn't just wait to announce this at the Ubisoft Forward that they're already doing in like less than a month. But I guess get people hyped because that probably means you're gonna get a deep dive during that thing. Because it's
yeah,
not like Ubisoft has a ton of stuff that they are like announcing. Because pretty much it seems like Ubisoft's camp is either we're doing live service or we're doing like the narrative game.
right,
And that's kind of what is both camps, which is why they canceled the Heartland because I guess they thought that it doesn't have the long tail that some of their other live service games do. But somehow Skull and Bones is still existing. So you know what? I don't know. Ubisoft is just weird. They have, of course, Star Wars Outlaws. I'd imagine that's going to get a big deep dive too. That Division Resurgence is the mobile game that I talked about before. Rainbow Six Mobile, and then X Defiant, which that looks like it's going to probably fall in its face as well. But we'll see how that
yep.
goes with that.
That'll be a hilarious misfire, or just a. It might even be worse than Skull and Bones.
Yeah, there's people that liked it. I'm sure the people that like to just play shooters, they will be all over it, but they will probably go back to their normal things once.
Yeah,
They're kind of
I'll play it
hyped
for like
us
maybe
now.
like a week or something, and unless it really somehow catches on, which is extremely unlikely, they'll go back
Right.
to Call of Duty or Valorant or Apex or the other half a dozen shooters.
All that stuff. So
Yeah.
let's get into Square Enix here. It feels like we're talking about them like all the time, but they keep announcing things. So what are we supposed to do at that point? So Square Enix did their whole. This was basically the week everybody did their. Oh, this is how it's looked at for a whole year because the whole fiscal ended. So Square Enix did the same thing, and we got some news on their new multi-platform strategy, but that's feels like some of it's based off of we finally get. Well, I mean, this is still an analyst. It's not from Square Enix themselves. So let me preface that by saying that we still do not have hard figures for FF7 Rebirth aside from the stuff that you get in like the Circana reports and stuff like that. But according to Takashi Mochizuki, um, who knows people and all that stuff, he says that sales for 7 Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16, and Foam Stars all fell short of expected revenue and profit. This is why they expect the operating income to be $255 million instead of $364 million, which that is a lot of a difference of money. Of course, Square Enix always thinks that everything is supposed to sell like way more than it actually will, and I think they seem to forget like they're still they're a huge company, but their franchises are big, but they're not like that big.
Well,
Like
I guess the question, the biggest question I want to ask, well, two is what were the expectations for each individual game? Like, was Rebirth expected to make 300 million? It only made 200. Uh, and what was the expectation for Foam Stars? Because it's like you guys sent that thing out to die anyway.
exactly. You sent that game out to die a death. You killed its launch by doing the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer and state of play the same day. That game was never talked about. It had no life span at all.
What they should be doing with that thing is like, oh, if you play it this week or the battle pass or season pass or whatever, you unlock the Buster Sword or you unlock the Gunblade from Final Fantasy VIII or dumb shit like that, or even like you can unlock like a foam filled chocobo to ride around in.
Well, I mean, then they would just have to call it Foam's Final
Yeah,
Fantasy or something.
exactly. Like when we get up to a franchise that people kind of care about.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just they tried so hard for people not to call it Splatoon, but everybody took one look at that game and goes, "Oh, that looks like Splatoon," and they're like, "Oh, I can just go play Splatoon instead of this."
I think the bigger problem is with Square's philosophy, though, is they they want to be on the cutting edge of visual fidelity or visual graphics. They always have been, but it's like, yeah, but it's not panning out for you sales wise. So you either got to start making these games cheaper, which, hey, if Nomura doesn't want it, tell them to hit the bricks, or these games don't need to look necessarily how they do. Like, Rebirth looks great, but if it looked a little uglier.
Oh man, can you imagine if that game looked a little uglier? They already had a problem with it looking ugly with performance mode. I mean,
yeah, but it still wouldn't I don't think it would materially impact the sales. If it got like a 7 out of on graphics instead of a 9 or 10 that most people wanted to give it to. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, they have a scale. Like, they always have. They have a scale problem now of the investments that they are making aren't returning on their games, and that audiences don't necessarily care.
Well, and then that's the point, right? Like, so Final Fantasy 16 sales were reportedly in line when it first came out, right? That 3.5 million number was great, but then it didn't have the tail that they thought it would have. It didn't.
Yeah, it's
The sales didn't increase for that game.
it's funny. I mean, I guess I don't know the Final Fantasy 15 sales figures, but it'd be funny if that game did better than 16.
No, 15 did because it was multi-platform.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the highest selling, like the fastest selling Final Fantasy game
Yeah.
is 15. So that's because it was multi-platform. It was different, right? It was all long awaited, right? It had a part of that versus 13, and then it was very different from 13. So yeah, I mean, then you've seen that kind of trickle down because you've had this PlayStation only kind of thing with your big Final Fantasies, whether it's 7 Rebirth or 16. Rebirth and Foam Stars didn't get as much as expected, but they weren't bad, supposedly. I
Yeah.
think that would be more for Rebirth and Foam Stars. I cannot
Right.
imagine whatever their target was for Foam Stars that even got close to hitting that. All three underperforming games are PS5 console exclusives, and as such, it could be argued that had they been released on Xbox Series X, Square-Enix could have generated extra income from them. I don't know about that. Yes, that would have been like a lot more Xbox owners that have been waiting for those games would have bought it. I'm pretty sure they would have.
Well, what about one of them at least?
But PlayStation, PC probably would have helped as well, right? But then
Right.
again, here's the whole thing that we keep talking about. How much longer would 16 and Rebirth have taken to make? Would they have been able
Yeah.
to make them in the short time span that they made them and have them come out like that? Rebirth technically came out even faster than Remake. So it's like, yo, I mean, that's what I care about. Honestly, I get it that, they want sales. They want income back. They want the ROI back for all the investment they're doing. But yeah, this is why they got to look forward and go multi-platform, right? It's being called the Square-Enix Reboots and Awakens. It's a 3-year strategy that they hope leads to long-term growth, where they are going to pursue multi-platform strategy of going on Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. They're trying to build an environment where more customers can enjoy their games in regards to major franchises and AAA titles, including catalog titles. So maybe this means we're going to get a remake and rebirth on Xbox at some point. Probably handled by a port studio, I would imagine. But
here's the thing, though, is
yeah.
I have to imagine. Maybe I don't know about 16, but I have to imagine the deal with like Final Fantasy 7, like that thing is PS5 or Sony exclusive.
No, I mean, the exclusivity, I think, is now tied until when the third
one
game comes
Yeah,
out, and then after that, it is open, right?
maybe.
That's what it feels like to me, that they tightened that. I think 16 was also they made some big deal for 16 as well to keep it away from Xbox longer. They don't give a timetable for this, so it's not like, it doesn't mean that the games are going to come out like next year or whatever. It's just they're saying that catalog titles can also be included. So I mean, also the Pixel remasters didn't go to Xbox either. So would those eventually come over to Xbox or whatever? It can't everything else. I mean, Switch 2 being around is probably going to help a lot because that's where a lot of games sell incredibly well. Like we talked about last week, that DK versus Mario game and Princess Peach both sold over 1 million. I don't think people really thought that they would when they came out, and it's still incredible the power of the Switch that they are able to do that. And they also talked about that they canceled a number of the projects, the ones we talked about like last week, that apparently are incompatible with the group's revised approach to development of HD games, which reflects such objectives as multi-platform development and strengthening of internal development capabilities. I would assume that does not include 7, the third game, obviously, and probably like 9 remake. I don't know if that's already supposed to go multi-platform or not. But we'll see as far as everything else goes if they ever reveal what those canceled games are. Also, sadly, for the folks in the EU and US based offices, they are going to have layoffs. So, Japan's been able to keep everything strong because of the laws that they have there. And, that's just helped with development of the 7 remake series because everybody's been kept together. But unfortunately, America and Europeans' laws are much different, easier to lay people off, especially in America where they're just like, hey, you can go right now. In a lot of states. Europe has that thing where you have to go into like a whole month consultancy period and all that stuff. So it's like not as easy, but still not the way that it's in Japan. And the reasons they're giving is the same mumbo jumbo everybody else gives. It sucks for these people. I'm sorry that they are losing jobs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hate seeing this, but it felt like that was coming. We even saw when Nintendo said they were gonna drop people from other branches. It felt like we're gonna start seeing other Japanese companies probably do the same. Sadly,
right.
Moving on from that, Yoko Taro says he might be making a new Nier game, but he's definitely making something that's not Nier related.
Yeah.
Does Automata like lend itself to we can continue this or?
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You could have said the same thing with the first Nier game. Like, we're gonna make a sequel after this, and then they made something like drastically different. So
yeah, right.
Why
To
not?
the point where they remastered the original,
yeah,
and had the replicant.
Well, it's funny
come
because
out.
the original is like way more like a fantasy, almost like a medieval game, like with like magic, and the
Mhm.
second game is like hard sci-fi. So
Yeah.
do what you want. Go ahead.
Hey, it's all in the same universe, really. So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people love these games. They're gonna do it. Why not? Anything Yoko Taro does is usually pretty great. So I'm all for that. Let us know when it is ready. We will be here. Something I forgot to talk about last week. There's been rumors. There's nothing really been substantiated by anyone sort of like within Disney or whatever. This is all just people saying that this is happening. It's not the first time, but of course that one got canceled. There was some animated series that was going to happen with Kingdom Hearts at one point.
Yeah.
Now there is rumors of a live action / CG movie happening with Kingdom Hearts. If I'm Disney, you need to make this the most approachable thing
No,
that
man.
there is.
You got to talk about Yen Sid for a half hour in the fucking movie and how he's like the most important character ever, even though he's barely in the games.
You can make allusions to other things in other games. But please don't. I think trying to make it super convoluted the way Nomura does the actual games is not going to help everyone. I know that if you sit there and really look at this, it's not that convoluted, but it is.
Here's the problem with your philosophy or your thinking. You're thinking about this from the position of a sane person. Kingdom Hearts fans aren't sane, so it is an incompatible problem. Like the way
I don't care
make,
as long as they follow the storyline from the first game and we get a freaking live action CG movie of that. I am happy. I don't care.
See, that's the thing is I was talking about this on Twitter. Like the way you do that movie is you have 10 to 15-minute introduction of Sora, Riku, and Kairi on the islands. They all split up. Sora meets Donald and Goofy, and then they go to like 6 or 7, maybe 5 or 6 Disney World, like classical Disney worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Do an adventure, beat up the bad guy, move on.
I'm going to be interested in how much of the Disney stuff do they actually let them do in this proposed movie. Like it feels like this is way more Kingdom Heartsy stuff than
I would imagine they would let them do almost anything. What I don't expect to see though is any of the Final Fantasy crap.
Oh no, that's Nomura himself has said that they're going to not. they've removed that from they removed that from 3 pretty much. There was no Final Fantasy stuff.
So they go
yeah.
to like 5 or 6 Disney worlds. Sora closes up the keyhole, and then at the end he fights a Ansem in the first one.
Yeah. I would expect people don't expect it to be the same worlds as the first game either. They're probably going to try to modernize it. Unfortunately,
that is a fallacy though, or that no, I guess you could replace like the Jungle Book world, like or not Jungle Book, Peter Pan.
Tarzan.
Sorry, Tarzan, because who gives a shit about that anymore? But I would say, when I say like classic, I mean like Lion King, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, Lion King I think wasn't introduced till the second game.
Right, right.
But
maybe Alice in Wonderland, but I don't want to see like Big Hero 6 or Frozen.
I would imagine, that's the thing I would worry about, is that we didn't see Frozen until the third game. Like, are we going to try to stick Frozen in this? Are we going to try to do live action Little Mermaid instead of the original? Are we going to try to get way too cute with this instead of actually just letting it be the way it was and let people recapture that magic again? Look, I get it. There's going to be things that are going to be different. There's going to be things that you can change or whatever. But the whole point of this show is to do what all these other shows have done, which is try to get people to buy. These games have already sold incredible amounts and they're already on sale all the time anyway. But to get people to buy those games again, to get people hyped for the Kingdom Hearts 4 that is coming.
Yeah.
I think if you take this into way too much of a direction where it's not faithful to that first, are they gonna put Mickey in immediately? Because Mickey was a mystery in the first game. That's what worries me too. Is like,
I think what they would do with Mickey is they would basically do it with Kingdom Hearts 1, where he might be in like the very front of the movie, and then right at the very end when he teams up with Riku, and that's about it.
Right.
Or he finds Riku. But because like if you don't have Mickey, you basically don't have the reason for Goofy and Donald to go off.
Yeah.
So,
but he can just disappear like he does in the first game.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right?
Like, you don't see him at all, or he's only in like the prologue and the epilogue, and that's it.
Yeah. Let's see. Do they? I just want to know if they're gonna do all the Ansem shit with the
That's
the different,
like
are they gonna do all of that, or are they gonna try to keep it more central? We'll see, because usually when Disney puts their hand in, I think Disney kind of lets them do whatever when it comes to the games, because they know those games sell regardless. But when you're talking about a franchise, a movie that they're definitely going to put their hand in it even more than they do with the game. So
it'll be,
let's see.
They'll have a 2-hour part where it's just Sora going to the Coliseum trials.
Oh God,
having to beat up barrels constantly.
Yeah, we can make allusions to that. Please don't. Like, are we gonna be able to get all the voice actors and all that stuff? Like, I want to see how that goes.
I want to see the fat Haley Joel Osment portraying Sora.
Yeah, will they do Haley Joel Osment, or will it be somebody else? Because I wonder if they go, oh man, Haley Joel Osment, he's not really relevant anymore, so we need to pick somebody else. That's totally a Disney move. I could definitely see happening. Like, Haley Joel Osment, who wants him involved in anything? Okay, so we're gonna have to like speed run through a lot of this other stuff here. GTA 6's release date has been pushed as far as they possibly can in 2025 to fall 2025. It's not really that like unexpected. Didn't the GTA 5 come out in like September or something, October?
Yeah.
So wouldn't really be out of the realm for it to be launching then. At least it didn't get delayed to 2026, but again, don't get too surprised if it does. This is a huge game that Rockstar has to get right. Take-Two has to have it be the most amazing thing ever, because that's what GTA is every time. If people expect that,
Yeah.
So speaking of franchises from 2K, supposedly there's a beloved franchise that is going to get revealed and get a new game at Summer Games Fest. I don't know if that's going to be the big reveal for Summer Games Fest or not, but they are apparently gearing up for a big reveal. What do you think it is?
Borderlands 4.
You think it is? Okay.
I
I don't think Mafia is going to do it.
Yeah,
for
they say
people.
beloved
Yeah,
franchise, and that kind of counts Mafia out. Like
maybe BioShock, right? Because we have heard nothing of the new
I think
BioShock that's being made.
that'd be kind of a fool's errand, I think, because that guy, Ken isn't there anymore. So
Right, and Ken has his own game coming, the Judas game. So,
right.
Supposedly Take-Two has not closed Roll7 and Intercept Games.
Yeah, that's
supposedly.
Yeah.
He says that this is of course Strauss Zelnick, the Take-Two CEO. He told IGN that neither studio has been closed, but didn't really clarify what the situation is.
My question to him would be: are those people still getting a paycheck, and will they be getting a paycheck next month?
Exactly, that's the point. Okay, we didn't show those studios, but if you released enough people to where those studios can hardly even operate, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We are being very judicious because we're in the middle of a cost-cutting reduction program. So now we're fully rolling it out. We're saving 165 million.
Right.
Whatever. I don't care that you're saving whatever. And neither does probably anybody else, unless you're like a huge Take-Two fan. Even if I was, that's not my situation to care about the freaking big CEO and whether he saves money or not. I do care about the people that what will happen to them at these studios. At some point, we'll get the actual truth. It feels like they're just kind of cooling the flames.
Yeah.
And we'll get the news eventually. Total War Star Wars is one of 3 Total War games in development. Why not?
That's kind of a neat idea. I mean, it might be kind of neat to have. Here's my 2,000 army stormtroopers losing to 20 Ewoks.
Yeah, I mean,
because they can't shoot for shit.
Like I'm totally down with a Star Wars like sim game. Why not?
I mean, I just don't like how Total War games play. If it was another start, because I think they're just very slow, or and like ponder. It's just like, okay, gotta wait 10 minutes for my whole army to get across this big map, and I can watch this battle happen for the next hour.
Yeah,
like it's very slow paced game compared to like something like StarCraft or like any other traditional RTS.
What if they? Well, yeah, that's true. I mean,
if they made it faster paced, that'd be fine. But then it wouldn't be like a Total War game. It'd just be a sequel to the RTS they made 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah, it's been long enough. Interesting that this is also the thing with Creative Assembly just went through layoffs as well. So
right.
We'll see how this goes. I mean, that seems like a lot of games to be working on when you kind of just lowered people at the studio. But having a Star Wars is definitely one that will get people's attention. So that's good for Sega and the like. I will be excited to see when they finally reveal what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Something else I do enjoy is the NFL side of football. I mean, not Madden so much. That's kind of just become its thing where I don't care and whatever. It's funny because when I was a kid, I was totally the people that would buy that game every year, and it is totally my jam and all that stuff.
Right.
And
then he grew up.
Yeah, no, but the thing also is just what I care about is the getting to go back in time and the development, all that stuff. The 4-part Madden NFL documentary that Amazon is doing. That part interests me. I don't care about Madden NFL 25. Interesting, we're going to have 2 Madden 25s. Also, they didn't just come up with some other name so that we don't have the 2 Madden 25s or whatever the hell. Supposedly, it's going to get announced like at some point, really quick, like either this week or next week. So we'll get more. They just announced, they literally had the trailer come out for the gameplay reveal of the college football game that's coming out in July. So yeah, I'm sure Madden won't be far behind. But yeah, that documentary is going to be freaking dope. I'm totally down with that. Amazon has officially ordered that Phoebe Waller-Bridge Tomb Raider show that they was like rumored a while ago. I worry this is going to be just the same quality as that recent movie. I like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I like Fleabag as a show. I don't know.
I think it'll be better and worse. And I say that because she was responsible for that Killing Eve show. Like the season, it was actually important or interesting. And then when she left, the series turned to shit.
Right.
I don't want her to star in it though. And I know they already said she's not, but no, I don't want, that shouldn't happen.
Well, why don't you want her to star in it?
Because something called Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, but that wasn't her fault though. I mean, that was more Indiana Jones. I think just doesn't connect with people, and it wasn't a great movie either, regardless of whether you bring back Harrison Ford or not. So
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if it's a good show, or if it's at the same level as like Fallout, then sure. But
but everybody's trying to get to that.
Yeah, I don't think Tomb Raider kind of has that. It has a lot more freedom to kind of do whatever it wants because it's the world is so flimsy. But you got to do a lot to make people care about the show or the character as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's gonna be interesting how much they take. Do they try to take more from the newer games, or they try to go back to the old Laura? What do they do there with that? Mortal Kombat 2, the movie, has its release sort of window in 2025, October 24th, 2025. That is. Of course, the big thing about this is you're going to get Johnny Cage and Katana, and Johnny Cage is going to be played by Carl Urban.
Yep.
I love him in the freaking Boys. Going to be interesting how he does Johnny Cage. And then Adeline Rudolph from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, she's going to be Katana. So 2 interesting choices there. And then a lot of we got returning characters from the first movie. Of course, No, go ahead.
I hope they kill off that new guy in like the opening fight. And then it's just extended on Carl Urban for the rest.
Right? Yeah. I mean, he does say that. McCoy, who is the director from the first movie, is back doing this one. He did say that the reason Johnny Cage wasn't in the first movie is because he's too much of a big personality. So I'd imagine he's going to be a focus of this movie if they're putting him in here. I think we both came to the conclusion we liked the first one, but it's not like amazing.
It was better than I thought.
Yeah.
But again, it's just the introduction of like, here's this bland, non-Mortal Kombat character that they're centering the whole story on, and it's like,
the new character. Yeah, that
new
character.
Why did you do this? Or like,
as Mortal Kombat's such a known franchise, I don't think you need to know. You don't need to have here's everybody's the everyman character,
right?
Like we know who Scorpion is, and Sub-Zero, and Sonya, and all this. Like just focus on those folks, and that's it. We're good.
Right. It's a problem that a lot of movies and TV shows, adaptations of games, it's like they're embarrassed by the game or the comic they're adapting from, and so it's like, okay, then why are you doing this at all? Like, they announced that Blade, they announced a Blade movie a while ago, and I think like initially it was supposed to be centered on like a group of girls, and like Blade was barely a part of the movie. And it's like, why find a Blade? Or like, why are you doing this at all then?
I'm Mahershala Ali. I'd be pissed too. Like,
Right.
I'm supposed to be Blade. I'm supposed to be the main character in this movie, and you're not caring at all about,
Yeah.
any of this. So, yeah, sometimes they make some weird decisions. Hoping this is at least equally good. And,
Yeah.
Summer Game Fest has a ton of partners. You guys can go look that up. It'll pretty much be like every Summer Games Fest where there's stuff all over the freaking map of happening, and you're gonna go insane trying to keep up with it all. So
Yeah.
will we. The big ones right now are Xbox Game Showcase happening June 9th. Ubisoft Forward happens the day after. I'm sure there will be I think June 7th is that opening night thing that he does. Or the showcase. I'm sorry. The opening night thing is the Gamescom. So yeah, and that's already set for Friday, June 7th. That's like 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, 10 p.m. for the folks in the UK and all that. So, and then you're gonna have the Day of the Devs, all that stuff. So there's the play days for folks like Keith that are going, so that's cool. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You can go look that up, see if your favorite publisher or developer is involved in that. So that pretty much does it for the show this week. Thank you everybody for watching live if you did. If not, thank you for checking out later. I'm trying to think of, like, is there a big game that is coming out this
Probably not.
week? I think it's like actually no, well, yes, there is a few actually. The Paper Mario Thousand Year
Yeah.
Door remake is coming, so that's one that I'm thinking about if I'm going to pick it up or not. I never played the original Thousand Year Door, so I'm interested, of course, being an RPG. Yes, there are other stuff that I can't think of right this minute. But yeah. Definitely go check that out. That X-Defying game is also going to be out. So if that's your bag, then go for it. Hellblade 2 that I already mentioned. System Shock, the remake is going to be out as well. Bunch of Hyperdimension Neptunia stuff is going to be out for folks that have never played those. Go check those out as well. So yeah, there's some good stuff coming. And then that Rogue Prince of Persia game is also on the 27th.
And Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2
Yeah.
is PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Oh,
Can't
see,
wait for that.
this is you're not excited about that? You always get excited about all the Dragon Ball stuff.
All the bad ones, which 95% of them.
Yeah. They all can't be Fighter Z. So,
Yeah.
or Kakarot was fine, I guess. Also, but all right. Well, until next week, everyone. We shall see y'all later.
Later.
Bye.